So I'm Denise Moorhead. I work with Schools for Children, and we came up with the idea of different choices early this year, early in 2021, after having done something called the Transition Conversations. And Eileen Brody-Burke, who is here with us today, she was part of that. And just folks are being able to get information on strategies and resources on college and career, and really how to take that next step to college, career, or whatever it is you want to do in life. So I do want to introduce our presenters. Eileen Brody-Burke is a counselor coach at Mass Rehab. Alexandra Ulrich is with the College Navigator Program at Easter Seals. My understanding is you actually created that program. So I'll be able to talk a bit more about that, Alexandra. And the thing is, I'm putting in the chat, there's so much more that you can learn about our presenters. If you go to the Different Choices website, you'll be able to click in when it comes to workshop schedule and get full bios on our presenters today. Did want to make sure you knew that if you have any questions, if you would put them in the chat, and we'll make sure the presenters will see them, and we'll also make sure that that's the case. I'm going to also put that information in the chat, and then I will turn it over to our presenters. So, Eileen.
Okay, thank you, Denise, and it's an honor and pleasure to be here, and it's an exciting time for me to meet people just as they are embarking into the world around them. And so I'm going to present just a little bit of an overview of a general sort of roadmap that you can follow through your journey as you put together your life and your work. So just as a way to begin to know yourself and the world around you. So this workshop will kind of explore the resources that you already have within you, and then the resources around you that can help you in that journey. So I'm going to do something a little experiential at first. So if you have a moment, you don't mind, just take a moment to take your pulse. Just imagine you're taking your pulse. Put your 2 fingers on your wrist. You may not feel it. Some of you may, but I want you to check your vital signs. You know, this is just a way to begin with you, to honor you as you take those steps out there in the world. And those vital signs in the career path are things like interests. What really gets you excited? What are your passions? What are your hobbies? How do you like to spend your time? Your values? What's important to you? Do you like to work with your hands? Do you like to think? Your temperament? Do you like being around people, or do you like more solitary things? And the activities that you like to engage in. You know, and this can bring you in your strengths. What are the things that are easy for you? What are the things that are harder for you? So just take your vital signs and get to know you. And that's a good place to begin, and to connect with the world around you. And more along those lines, I'm going to have you also sit quietly for a minute, take a deep breath. Deep breath in, maybe count to 3. And a deep breath out. And another deep breath in. And deep breath out, and just sit, strong in your chair if you can, feet on the ground. And just take a moment again to check in with you and to think, maybe notice as you notice your breath, maybe notice your feelings, your thoughts. Maybe notice the sounds around you, the temperature. Just notice what's going on inside you. And as you take that time to check in with you, your vital signs, your breath, your heartbeat, and all of those things, think of one thing that's special about you, that's awesome about you, that you want to always keep within you, that you know about you, no matter what happens, that you know that that's you, that's the awesome piece of you. Maybe it's something that you did that just made you really glad. Maybe it's something that you are looking forward to. Because whatever you do, when you step out there into the world, remember that awesomeness within you. Okay. And you might even want, after this workshop, you may pick up a stone or a special crystal or a seashell, something just to keep in your pocket if ever you lose sight of the fact that that's you. That's your awesome you. Okay. So as you embark out there in the world, because you're going to have all kinds of experiences. So always know that you can begin again and that you're going to be finding your way. It's going to be a journey and you're going to have a lot of experiences. And there'll be big changes and there'll be little changes, but you always have that piece that is you. Okay. So let's get on with the nitty gritty of, finding your way out there in the world. And one of those ways is, I have it on the Google, I guess there's a Google site that you can access, but one of those ways that we use at the Mass Rehab Commission is called an ONET. And that you can also Google, and you can take this interest inventory, which can just help you kind of maybe sort out if you're kind of a little in a mumbo jumbo of, well, I don't know myself, I don't know what it's out there. This is a way to just sort of identify pieces of you. Like, so I'm going to kind of read some of the categories that they have. So, are you interested in business and in marketing? And that would be considered enterprising. Do you like helping and teaching? And that's social. Do you like maybe filing and IT? And they would consider that conventional. Do you like working with your hands and building things? And that's considered realistic. And so there are a lot of categories, and then they break it down into smaller pieces so you can actually see what kind of work might, interest you according to those different things that you identify with. They also have picture inventories, and I'm going to hold this up too. So there's a picture of somebody creating a flower arrangement, of a mailman, of someone cleaning, someone doing a scientific experiment. So interest inventories can be one concrete way also, besides, just checking in that the exercise we just did to find out, what your vital signs are, what your interests are, and where you might see yourself in the world out there and connect. So so those are some internal ways that you can begin your journey. And then there's some external ways that you can get support once you get out there in the world. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Mass Rehab is one of those resources. If you have been on an IEP or anything like that, or even through life, if there are changes that happen to you that make you have to reconsider something else to do in the world. Mass Rehab works with people with disabilities, with vulnerabilities, and it's there from age 15 on up through a lifespan of a person. And we can help you figure all of that stuff out too. And we can help with interest inventories and counseling and guidance and on-the-job experiences and job coaches and all of that stuff, and help you make a goal, maybe one vocational goal at a time. You might have many. I can give you an experience. Somebody we helped out of school, he just was fascinated with Disney World. And so he ended up getting a retail job. We helped him get a retail job through the vendors that we use at the Children's Museum, checking people in and helping them find their way around. And then on the side, he took an adult ed class in voiceovers and got connected in that world. So he did a lot of different things. And it took him a little time to get there. He had some kind of disappointing experiences and more satisfying experiences, but he always held on to that sense of his awesomeness. And that's why I brought that to you. So with all the experiences you have, you will remember you. There are other kinds of things like clubhouses. If you find you need more help, like therapeutic help, or sometimes there are mentors, life maps. There are places, the Department of Mental Health and DDS, AANE, buddy systems, mentors. There's a place called Mass Hire if you're ready to look into training and looking for jobs. There's a place called Mass Edco as well, which you can often find in libraries, and they can help you with some of that school and work planning. I wanted to I wanted to give you one other example. I have another person I worked with, and as he was searching, he loved boxing, and so he hung out at this neighborhood gym, and he cleaned, and that was a way he could sort of get into a buddy system in that world and kind of build some life work skills that way too. So there's a lot of ways to connect with the world, and we're going to give you, I'll give you more information about that. But first, I want to hear from Ollie Ulrich, who is going to tell us about a thing called Navigator that she created that will help you navigate your way if college is one of the paths that lies before you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eileen, and thank you for having me today. I'm going to share my screen with you all just because I am a little bit better with some slides, and I know sometimes it's helpful to have people to read, something for people to read. If you're interested in a copy of these afterwards, please reach out. I have my contact information, and I'm happy to send a PDF of the slides as well. So as Eileen mentioned, my name is Alexandra Ulrich, and I am the College Navigator Program Manager for Easter Seals, Massachusetts. I helped create this program about 4 years ago, and it has grown ever since. So I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of an overview of that. So why did we start this program? So we looked at the fact that so many more students were graduating from high school with an IEP or with a 504 or with mental health, mental illness, and they were getting into college and they were starting, but they weren't graduating. And my job before this was as a job developer. Eileen would often refer clients to me for me to help them find jobs. And I talked with a lot of clients that had started college and not finished. And as a result, their prospects for jobs were greatly narrowed. They didn't have the same opportunities that they would have if they had graduated from college. And I wanted to know why. And through talking with these students and young adults, it was discovered that a lot of what they needed was just a little more support. There's a lot of support and a lot of great things going on in high schools, and in college, there's a lot less support. So we're kind of that in between where, we're able to give you guys a little bit more support than you would normally have in college, but it's still not the level of support you would have had in high school. What is College Navigator? So myself and the former director of my program created this 4 years ago. So all of our services are very customized. They're based on the individual that we're working with. They're tailored to their strengths and to their needs. And we really want to help them to build lifelong skills to be successful, not just in college, but also in work. We want to prepare them to graduate and to be successful. We can meet in person depending on the geographic location in the state. We've actually done, within the past year, have expanded our services. So we're now serving the Northeast part of Massachusetts, the Metro Boston area, the Metro West area, kind of central Massachusetts in the Worcester, Gardner, Fitchburg area. And we just expanded, our most recent expansion is kind of way out west to the Greenfield, Springfield, Holyoke, Amherst area. And if you're not near one of our services, we can definitely offer virtual services, both anywhere in the state, and we actually have students in several other states as well that we serve virtually. So just to give you a little history, we started in 2018. We created a partnership with the Department of Developmental Services to serve 10 of their clients with autism spectrum disorder in the Northeast region of Mass. In 2019, the pilot was so successful that they doubled our capacity to 20 students, and we expanded to Boston. Then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, instead of meeting everyone on campus, we started meeting virtually, and we saw that that was still a successful model for a lot of students. And so they expanded our capacity to serve 30 students in those regions and throughout the state. This year, we've been really lucky that we were issued a 4-year contract with DDS for statewide College Navigator services. We can serve any number of students, and now we're almost statewide. So how do we help students? We really provide a lot of information to students and to their families about what to expect as a college student, including their rights, what kind of resources and supports might be available to them, but also basics like you don't have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom in a college class, which is, different than high school, and kind of some other more nuanced expectations. We spend a lot of time connecting students to both on and off campus resources. So do you need to be connected with disability services, with career services, with counseling services? Do you want to find out about different social clubs you could be a part of? And we help students develop their own communication and self-advocacy skills. So we don't ever speak on behalf of the student. We're never going to go to your professor and talk with them on your behalf. We might practice with you what you want to say to a professor or what you want to say to maybe another student that you're working on a project with and you're having difficulty with that. Or you're not getting the accommodations you need and you need to advocate for yourself. We help practice those skills with you. We help a lot with time management and planning skills. We do a lot with organization, scheduling, breaking down large assignments into smaller, more manageable pieces. A huge piece of our services, especially since spring of 2020, since COVID hit, has been helping students to access online databases and online portals to complete their schoolwork. Some examples are Blackboard, Moodle, Canvas. I know there's some others too. We help students with making sure that they're getting the appropriate accommodations and figuring out how to best use those accommodations to be successful. We also teach students how to be social in the world that we're in at the moment. So how can we connect with people online if you're not able to meet in person? How do you write emails and manage your email box so that you're not missing important emails from school? Because that's often how communication is coming these days. And how do you professionally interact with your peers and professors? All of our goal is to help the student to be more self-directed and more self-aware and self-independent. So some examples of the services we offer is we develop an action plan with each student for each semester of college that kind of details out your goals, what you want to accomplish, who's going to help you with those goals, what some barriers might be to those goals, what resources are available to help you with those goals. We help a lot with understanding the curriculum. We're not tutors, so we can't tutor you. That's mostly because we have students who are studying things like engineering, and you certainly wouldn't want me tutoring you in engineering. But we can help you understand your syllabi. We have a syllabi chart that we can help you break it down to make it much simpler. Sometimes a syllabi can be 20 pages long and it's hard to find the exact information you want. How do you know which classes to select, or etiquette around, interacting with professors and with other students? Is there assistive technology you might need? Easter Seals has an assistive technology regional center where you can borrow assistive technology for a month to try it out for free. Do you need, a referral to our loan program to kind of get it more permanently? And we can kind of help you integrate that into your daily routine. We help you to kind of redirect and focus academically, which assignments are most important to get done this week, what can wait till next week. We really help collaborate with disability services to help you disclose your disability, explain what accommodations you might need, and also help you figure out the processes. Sometimes if you need, say, an extra time on tests, or you need a separate room for testing, there's a form you have to fill out for each test. So we help you figure that stuff out. So funding, how can you access our services? Because that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. So we have a few different ways that you can access services. The first way is for students with autism spectrum disorder without intellectual disability. If you are a client of the Department of Developmental Services and you have funding through them, they are able to contract with us to provide those services. But through these other means that I'm going to talk about, any student with any disability can access our services. Our services are not just for students with autism, they are for any student with any disability. So currently, and this always changes, so always reach out to me, and my contact information will be at the end to find out what our latest grant funding is. But currently, through grant funding from the Lloyd G. Balfour Foundation and from Mackenzie Scott, We are currently able to offer free college navigator services to students at Mass Bay Community College, Mount Wachusett Community College, and Greenfield Community College. We do hope that there will be more partnering community colleges in the future, but you can always check with me for the latest updates. If one of these first two methods doesn't apply to you, we do have private pay options where we can contract with families to pay for these services. We generally charge $60 an hour, but we can work with families based on financial need to possibly have a reduced fee because we have some grant funding right now. Families are also able to use their ABLE account funds can be used to pay for our services. And Easter Seals ourselves has a 0% interest mini loan program for up to $2,000 that can also be used to pay for these services.
Awesome.
So if anyone has any questions, obviously put them in the chat and I'm happy to answer them. Or if you want to learn more information yourselves, you can go to our website. And I know they are also going to be posting our flyer there as well on the Schools for Children website as well. And my email and phone number is here. So thank you so much for taking the time to learn about our services. And thank you, Eileen, for having me.
Oh, thank you, Ollie. That's, you know, we need these practical suggestions, and it's important to know that there's help out there. We don't have to do it alone. And that's just one really good resource. And, you know, you're going to encounter challenges, and you can, you know, find ways through them and around them, or they can redirect you as well. But definitely seek out the supports you need. I'm going to give you a little bit of a little kind of roadmap of 7 kind of laws of success that somebody, his name is Deepak Chopra, and he broke down little things that we can use to navigate our way in the world and to make those decisions of the directions to take. So the very first thing that will help you as you begin this journey is to know your potential, to know that really anything is possible, you know, and just have that spirit of possibility, you know, holding on to that awesomeness as you take those steps out there. And so that's the very first one. And then there's a kind of a spirit of giving and taking. You know, you can receive help, and you also have a lot to give too, you know, whether it's helping a neighbor carry groceries or cleaning leaves or doing dishes or just smiling at somebody and sending good wishes. You know, that's just a sense of the flow of giving and taking in life, that you belong here and you belong somewhere and you matter. Okay, so that's another law. And then another one is cause and effect. As you go out there, you know, when you throw a pebble in the water, it kind of, there's a ripple effect, and some of the information you get back, you know, sometimes there may be disappointments, sometimes there may be excitement and inspiration, and it will be a whole bunch of things that will happen. So just know that it's a learning experience and you don't have to judge it. And these problems can become opportunities. The other thing is, you want to find something that, you know, it's challenging enough, but it's something you can do and reach. Sometimes change is small, sometimes change is big. So it's a kind of law of least effort, you know, a little bit of growth, a little bit of expansion to the next level. And, you know, maybe the information you get back is to slow down. Maybe it's to take 3 courses instead of 4, or, you know, maybe you need a little more help on the cash register, whatever the case may be, to use that information to find out what's working and what's not working. And then the other one is intention and desire, you know, and that's part of that awesomeness. Just know that there are many things that you can do, and you can find your way and try out different things. So hold on to your attention, and what you put your mind to, it's that old saying is true, you know, it can come to pass. and to be ready. Sometimes if you lay the groundwork for things, you know, a little bit of experience, a little bit of support, a little bit of training, a little bit of education, you know, when the opportunity presents itself, you know, you may actually be ready for it. And then there's a law of, we call it a kind of detachment, just to, you know, get the help when you need it. Try not to judge yourself. Use everything as a learning experience and an exploration. And the very, very last thing is, the purpose of your being here. So use everything that has come before. Check your vital signs. What are your interests? What are your values? What matters to you? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? Seek the supports you need. That's so important. Access your inner resources too. And, access the giving and taking, give in little ways. And don't be afraid to ask for help, because that can help you get you far too. So, and always remember your awesomeness. Keep that stone or crystal with you every step of the way. And I'd like to end here with a quote from this kind of famous jazz musician, John Baptiste. And he says, just get to it. Okay. And don't be afraid to reach out to us. This is Mass Rehab. Allie's from Easter Seals. We can connect you with Easter Seals as well. And we have an array of services for vocational planning and development and work experiences. So congratulations and good luck out there. Stay curious, and anything is possible.
So if I can share a question with you, Eileen and Alexandra. It's like, how do I know when I need help, and how do I find people who can help? So these are some questions that had come in prior to today.
Well, you know what? I can answer that, and Ollie can too. I think everybody, we all need help. We all need each other, and we're all part of one community here in the world. And so it's a given that we're going to need each other and we're going to need help. So the way to find out is to, what kind of help do you think you're needing? Is it tutoring at school? Is it therapeutic help? Is it help just organizing your day? Just if you kind of can, break it down into little pieces, and then that can help you know where to reach out for help. So there's all kinds of therapeutic help, clubhouse help, and so those are ways to reach out. And even medical, social work, medical doctors, sometimes they can guide you to the kinds of services you may need. And there's even financial help, if it's unemployment or food stamps and things of that sort, Social Security. So, yeah.
I think if how do you know when you need help is if you're looking to change anything that's kind of going on in your life currently, and you don't feel like you're able to do that independently, then you might need some help. And like Eileen said, we all get help in different ways in our lives. How do you find people who can help? It really depends. I think internet is an amazing resource that we have these days. If you don't have internet at home, your local public library generally has free public access to the internet. You can also look at, reach out to us, either Eileen at MRC. She might have resources for you. You can reach out to me. I will put my email and phone number again in the chat in a minute. Well, even if my College Navigator program isn't what you're looking for, maybe another program at Easter Seals is what you're looking for, or I may know another resource in the community. So I would say just start asking whoever you might know, and even if they aren't the right person right away, they might be able to point you in the right direction.
Also, I put something, I think also on Google. There's a state agency like Mass Rehab in every state in America. So wherever you are, you can access that kind of support. And there's other vendors and resources like Easter Seals. So, yeah.
That's funny because I just put in the chat one of the other questions, which is, I live in California. My child has a learning disability. We're not sure where to go after high school. So
yeah, totally. Yeah.
There is definitely Easter Seals in California. Easter Seals has affiliates in almost every state, and I know they definitely have one in California. So Easter Seals might be a great place to start. They don't have their exact contact information, but again, I'll put my contact information in here. And if for some reason you're not able to contact them directly, contact me and I will do my best to put you in contact with them. You also might want to ask your transition coordinator at the high school what resources they suggest for you to look into after high school. Is there California's version? There is a voc rehab agency in California. California also has their own Department of Developmental Services. I didn't put it in my presentation, but we actually support a student from California who goes to school in Massachusetts through California's version of the Department of Developmental Services. So sometimes that's it's not a usual circumstance that they'll support someone that far away, but it can happen. So that could be another good resource for you as well.
We just had somebody just come on board. We're in the process of asking some questions. It's the Q&A portion of the presentation. So if you've got any questions, as we talk about, kind of doing a self-assessment, how to figure out, kind of find your way. How do you know what to do after graduating from high school, or if you're in college, you've got a learning disability, or you've got some social emotional issues that you're dealing with. What are the kinds of things, what kind of strategies and resources are available?
Well, sometimes, it's just to hang out at your local gym, or to babysit, or to see a help wanted sign, or in your community, or there's ways to help in church, or clean leaves for a neighbor. Sometimes it's like that. And other times, you may want to access more organized, like, day programs. I know here we have like the BU Center for Psych Rehab, where people can go and choose courses to help kind of prepare them, give them a readiness, and give them a little more structure to their day. So there's a lot of different ways, to meet yourself in the world. So that and the AANE for Asperger's and autism, and they have a lot of workshops. For instance, they even have workshops on relationships, and grandparents can attend these workshops. And you can sometimes get through this program called Life Map, a buddy system. So those kinds of things are available out there. And what Mass Rehab does is we meet people where they're at and help them determine some of those next steps that they might be ready for. And
yeah, you can also reach out to your local independent living centers. So there are independent living centers in every state, or almost every state. I believe independent living centers, I think, started out in California, if I'm remembering correctly, although I could be wrong on that. But definitely look at your local independent living center, and they often have a wealth of resources as well.
Do we have any questions from our audience at this point? I've been sharing some of the questions that had come in prior to the
to keep a balance between
session beginning.
That is a tough one. So college can be so overwhelming. So one thing that I know that we do a lot with our students in the College Navigator program is really creating a very detailed schedule of, everything from what time do you wake up to what time do you go to bed, and what's everything in between. So whether that's showering, whether that's eating your meals, what classes do you have? Do you have a job? How much time do you need to get your homework done and your assignments done? But also making sure in that calendar that you schedule time for a social life. It's really important in order to not burn yourself out at college and to not feel so overwhelmed, to have a little fun and to do some social things with your friends, and get out of just the 24/7 school, homework mentality. But I think making sure that you're still then getting done your schoolwork and that your social life then doesn't kind of take over in the opposite way.
Yeah.
But we found it's really helpful to kind of really plan out your time. It may seem like, well, but that takes more time. But once you get in the habit of it, it's a really helpful habit to be into. It really will help you be like, okay, if I just get through this, then I get to, go have fun for 3 hours and hang out with my friends. And that sometimes can encourage you to kind of get through those tough times in college, because it is overwhelming. It's a lot. And I would suggest, reaching out to different supports if there are different supports either on your campus or in your community as well.
I have another one that was sent in. It's from a student, a recent graduate. It says I graduated from high school in 2021, but I don't really have a plan. I just sort of have a basic, job I don't really want to be in. And they're really asking, like, soup to nuts, I guess. How do I get started?
Well, if you actually already have a job, that's a big deal. That's good, because it's just taking those little action steps. One action step leads to another and leads to another. So as you're opening your path, you're also narrowing it. So that's an important piece. And I actually, I had someone recently and wanted to do this wonderful just week-long flower arranging class, and yikes, for 2 days in a row, she just couldn't get it together to show up, so that counts for a lot. And if you're having trouble showing up, then, maybe it is to get support for that. Maybe you need some more activities of daily living support, to get going, or therapeutic supports, or a buddy system to get your alarm going. So that very first step out into the world really matters. And the information you get from that will often inform your next steps. Like, this is not what I want to do, but this very piece of this job is something I like to do. I like to go more in that direction. And then you look into, well, what do I need to be able to go more in that direction? So that's kind of how things build. It's like experience, training, education, experience, maybe a few steps back and sideways and then back again onto a path. So, it does help if you can get the supports and take some action steps. Even just throwing that little pebble in the water, will have ripple effects.
Yeah. And if you're not at that point that you don't have a job, you can start off volunteering. Find, a local organization or that might need some help. See if you might like it. If you don't like it, that's okay too. You're learning. You're learning not only just on the job skills, but you're learning about your interests. I like this. I don't like this. It's just as important to understand what you don't like and what maybe is not your strengths as it is to be like, I really like this and I'm really good at this. And if you start to kind of figure that out, connect with if you're in Massachusetts or whatever state you're in, connect with your local vocational rehabilitation agency. If you're looking at colleges as part of that, start by thinking about what you might want to do, and do a little research. What I might want to do this, what kind of degree, or do I need a degree? Do I need a training program or a certificate program? Not everyone needs to go to a 2-year or 4-year school. There are certificate programs, there are job training programs, there's Job Corps. So just trying to figure that out. And you might want to start off with one class at a local community college. I think sometimes people think with college, I have to live on campus and go to school full time, or I'm not a college student. I didn't do that. I never lived in a dorm. I went to school part-time sometimes. I went to school full-time sometimes. I worked while I did it. I didn't start school till I was in my mid-20s. I graduated when I was 29. So there's no right or wrong way to get where you need to go. And I think that's really important. I think sometimes society tells us, I graduate high school, I go to college, I get a job. And that's not everyone's path. And sometimes it's honestly, that path isn't the best for you. So I think about thinking about what your path might look like, being okay with if your path doesn't look like everyone else's, it might be the best path for you, and just taking small steps. talk to someone who might have a job in a field that you're interested in. Can you shadow? I know this is harder with COVID, but could you shadow them for a day? Or simply, could you pick their brains for an hour over a cup of coffee and ask them about what they like about their job, what they don't like about their job, to just learn more. Explore any way you can, and it can look like a variety of different ways, as I mentioned.
If I also to clarify, this person was, I didn't put it all in there, but the person was saying they have executive function issues. That's kind of like when they had IEP, you know, and they're just not sure even like, you know, the idea of how to start. They really need something kind of like, is there a place where I can like find I don't know, is there some place online where there's like a plan that, you know, like this is like a life plan kind of template or something that they could fill out to get some ideas. I mean, one of the things that had come up was this idea of, you know, what are your abilities? Is there a way for them to kind of assess, you know, what they're good at, what they like, you know, that kind of thing? Is there something they can use that you know of or suggest, or, you know, that they could like sit down and start to think, you know, like really kind of, you know, almost, you know, how you like people do those kind of,
you know,
it's like, this
are,
is what I like, this is what I don't like, that kind of thing.
I actually have oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go on, Ollie. Yeah.
I was going to say, so charting the life course.
Thank you. Yes, that kind of thing.
If you look up, it's literally called Charting the Life Course. And they actually have a variety of different visual tools to help people determine what do I like. They have one that's like, what do I not want my life to look like? And what do I want my life to look like? And then it kind of helps you plan out what steps do I need to get to what I might want to look like and what steps might take me away from the life. They have a variety of different tools that will help you say, what kind of supports do you have in your life? Let me see if I can really quickly, while Eileen, I'm sure, has something to chime in, see if I can get the website for that.
I see something called Charting
awesome.
the Life Course
Life
Toolkit. Okay.
Yes, Charting the Life Course Toolkit.
Okay.
I actually just found it, so I'm going to put
Good.
it right here.
Did you put that in the chat, or if you want to have me put it in the chat? I think that's exactly what that person was kind of hoping for, something like that. That
they are really great tools to kind of just help you start thinking about that stuff.
Yeah, and that ONET, you can find that online too, and that's an interest inventory, and they can connect you with specific jobs in the interest inventories where you are strongest. So that it can just pick your interest. And what Ollie was saying, you know, this is a thing called informational interviewing. You know, if there's something you're curious about and, you know, you want to learn more about it, then it's okay to reach out and interview people about that job and to look around you to see what looks interesting to you. You see what people are doing out there sometimes. And if there's more support, you know, I think, well, Mass Rehab and Easter Seals have a sort of more structured buddy system where, you know, we take you along with aptitude testing and then maybe some training and then some help with job placement. And that's a more supportive way if you need that amount of support. So what Ollie was saying about sometimes, you know, it's just a level of how much independence you have or self-sufficiency. No one really has self-sufficiency. We all need some degree of help, but there's different levels of help you can access.
Thank you.
And volunteering that's a really good way to start. Whether, you know, like helping with animals or helping with a neighbor's pet or you know, babysitting, a lot of those things, or an elderly neighbor with groceries or shoveling or leaf cleaning. And sometimes that can even get you into maybe you're interested in landscaping. And then from there, maybe it grows to horticulture study. You know, everything is sort of just step by step.
Thank you. I actually have a question from, this is for me, Denise, that came up when you were talking, I mean, about one opportunity as a clubhouse. I don't actually, what is a clubhouse? I don't know
Oh,
what that was.
well, I think that's mostly through the Department of Mental Health or Department of Disabilities. There are structured day programs where people can go and learn some skills of, we call them activities of daily living, some basic self-care skills, social skills, and often there'll be different workshops that will be offered there. And so they have different names to them: clubhouses, day treatment centers, psych rehab centers, and different specialties and under different auspices. And that's one level of support. Other levels are just to join clubs, reading clubs or running clubs or bicycle clubs or skateboarding clubs, things like that, things that are your interest, and dog walking. So there's different levels, it's the important thing is to just honor your awesomeness, meet yourself where you're at, and bring in the support you need that meet you where you're at.
Do we have any other questions before we close? Okay. Then I want to thank everybody for coming today. I especially want to thank our presenters who were just excellent, provided really, really very good information for us.